right? Big dude, big fucking 6'4", fucking swole dude, right? He's one of the instructors. And he said, man, mother, who fucking took my shit? Oh, he's all juiced up on protein. Took it. And I'm over here like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Right? I'm running with the commander. And he's like, let's go Stevie Martinez. I'm like, I'm keeping calm. And, bro, I'm fucking tired, bro. We come across this wadi. I jump, I get there, and then I fall back. I was like, shit. So now I'm soaked. Fucking all that weight on me. I get up, my lieutenant helps me up and shit. So the 1.5 is still kind of heavy, right? Not as heavy as a 2, but it's heavier here. And then I'll taper from like a 1/2 to the 1.5. So it looks light here at your temples and your nape, and it's a little darker here. Okay. A 1.5 isn't too heavy.
I'll go off of Barber's recommendations. Yeah, you know more about it.
Yeah. I mean, unless you want to go short. If you want to go short,
I do, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I
mean, the winter's coming.
Yeah. All right, take it easy. Was it Game of Thrones?
Right.
Winter's coming.
Yeah. And then we're trimming the top or what?
Yeah. Trim the top, like, maybe like springish.
Yeah, for sure. I got it. That's funny.
That's crazy though. Like, I've gone to. I mean, we both gone to a shit ton of barbers, right? Both, at the BX or the PX.
Yeah.
Or just like growing up, we used to go like to fucking Rios. That was like high end for us, right?
Really?
Yeah, Rios was like high end. And that wasn't like till I started making my own money. But most of the time we used to go to a place called Ray's, I think. It was off of Castroville.
Yeah.
Either way. But I don't ever recall giving, like, you either got your parents like to cut your hair, or like they told you like, hey, this is how you're gonna get your hair cut.
Right. You didn't really have an option.
Yeah, like I remember asking, like, rat tails were cool at the time. I remember asking my mom, like, you want to get a rat tail? Come on, can I get a rat tail? She was like, you want a purse too? I was like, no, I don't want a purse. Okay, no rat tail.
You got a clip for the purse?
Yeah. But either way, it's like, so fast forward, many different experiences, both overseas, foreign barbers and stuff like that, cutting hair. But like, to be asked the question, like, summer cut or winter cut?
Yeah. I mean, like, I just again, something I do just to put it into perspective, like, because usually, the reason I do that too is usually most guys they won't stray away from what they've always wanted.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, from a little boy, they'll kind of wear the same cut.
Yeah.
Right? More or less. It might be longer, it might be shorter, hence for summer or winter, right?
Right.
But even then, like, I mean, you might get the occasional, I'm going to mix it up, do a mohawk or whatever, and all that. And then they always go back to what they know, right?
Right.
So in turn, it's like, okay, their regular cut is like, we're just going to do a little trim today. Well, instead of going so short,
right,
let's keep a little length on, but, short enough. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you want to cut, but not too short. And it makes sense for me. Like, I don't like my head being cold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, you're still getting a haircut. I mean, unless you want, like, down to, like, a summer cut, right? If you want it short, okay, cool, whatever.
Right.
But, if you're one of those guys who don't care, like, I don't want to say don't care. So, you know what I'm saying, though? It's kind of like, again, guys wear the same thing. And it's like, instead of getting a haircut and it's bald all the time and your head's cold,
right,
you get shit like that happening. Like, you have an option of a winter cut. It's short, but not as short.
Right.
Still looks like you, right? And you look good during the winter. And then you have your short cut.
Right.
Right?
No, and that's good. I guess what I was getting to is, like, the amount of information that you don't consider when just getting a haircut, because we're like creatures of habit.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of get in that mode, especially the more stressed you are. Like, just give me a haircut, same thing.
Yeah.
Or in the military, we used to shave our head, especially on deployments. But
crazy thing on that too. I don't know if it's gonna get changed top. Well, it is. So guys will also come in and say the same thing. Right? Just give me the same thing. And on one hand, like, from a barber's perspective, like, let's say me and you, I cut you all the time, so I know your haircut.
Right.
So you can be like, just give me the same thing, bro. And the last cut that I remember you getting, I'm gonna give you that.
Right.
Usually, I mean, I always ask, are you this, and this? You know, we'll confirm yes or no, and I can do it, right?
Right.
But guys that don't come that often, like, just give me the same thing. You're like, man, you came 3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what did you get again?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but again, like, it's crazy. Some guys, yeah, you know, do the same thing. It's like, bro, are you? And I guess as a barber, I laugh at it because again, I have guys who do come. I mean, every week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every week, every 2 weeks. You know, and I see them. I can count on them every month. You know.
Right.
And then I get those guys that are, you know, 2-3 months in between, or even longer sometimes. You know. And then again, a lot of those are the ones that are always saying, just give me, you know, give me the same thing. I guess, I mean, I don't want it to contradict itself.
No, it's not.
Now I guess I'm overthinking, right? Like,
No.
because again, a guy could come in and wear the same thing he always gets, right? But it's like, bro, like, if your hair is long, and that's, I guess that's the other part that goes into it as a barber. If your hair is longer than, you know, 2 months, or longer than a month, because after a month, most guys will lose the shape that they had from the haircut. Right? So now it's just long, it's over your ears. You know, you pretty much mostly lost the shape. You know, you're already pushing it. Everything's going back because it's so long now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm wearing a hat. Like, but if you know, if they came more frequent. Oh, okay, hold on. That's what I'm saying. When they come anything past a month, you know, the hair is long. Right? And it's like, man, like I don't remember what you got. And then I gotta put a shape on your head. Right. I gotta see your head shape first. Like, you know, it makes it a little more, I don't know. I guess it's not difficult, but it's like, but it's part of those things, you know, the consultation, right?
Yeah.
Usually, you know, and I, like I said, I always try to ask. Well,
no, that's good. And I guess that's where like I was like the level has come where you could specialize in the craft, right? And I know you've talked about it before, like be what you are. Like, so
yeah,
if you're gonna be a barber, become
yeah.
a barber, right?
Yeah.
Body a barber. Like, because if you want to be a master in your class, like in your art or your profession or whatever, you need to become that, right? Be a fucking janitor, like, you know, fucking be the best janitor.
Yeah, like completely. I mean, learn how to mop, right? Learn how to sweep, you know, and then do it to the best of your ability, right?
Right.
You know, like learn, or you know, even learn. Like, hey, did you know this? Little common knowledge that a lot of people forget, or sites we, you know, and you're like, and then when you tell people, they're like, oh shit, like yeah, I know really ton of book.
Yeah.
You know, read step, do step, right? But at the same sense, like yeah, completely invest in it deeply. I believe that because, especially in like a trade like this, you're gonna see so many different heads that it's crazy to keep up with. You know what I mean? And the only way to be good at cutting every head is to cut every head.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And by that, like you're learning, right? Okay, you got a smaller, rounder head. The guy yesterday had a skinnier, like a not oblong. That's kind of squarish, right? Like his head was long, you know. Right. And then it's shaped weirder on the top, you know. And then to put even more perspective behind it, you know, you're trying to keep symmetry on a round shape, square symmetry. You know what I mean?
Right.
On a round shape.
Yeah.
So you got to create corners off of a spear. You know what I mean?
So those techniques, like, I guess, have you always been that way where you, like, let's say football, right, in high school, like, or whatever sports you played, were you always that way where you wanted to be the best at it, like, or try to figure out ways to, like, immerse yourself in it? Or is that something you learn later?
Nah, I mean, like, football, good example. That was my sport. I mean, I definitely tried to, like, I mean, I love the sport. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely tried to learn everything about it that I could. I mean, and I think it speaks for itself, not to toot my horn, nothing, but like my middle school years, you know, we were champion teams, 7th, 8th grade, you know, and like you know, obviously it's a team effort, but like I put Okay, so I played since I was young, 3rd grade, and then I guess for me, because I was good at it, like I was good at it, and I wanted to invest more of it because like it was a good release for me. You know what I'm saying? I was able to kind of like express myself through it, and it was fun. Like I was interested in it. It was something like that's the key, the topic with it. Like I was because I was interested in it. I wanted to be good at it.
Right.
Right. And then obviously growing up, you seen the Cowboys play, all the 95 Niners, the 95 Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was football back
Yeah.
then. Mean Joe Green, like ruthless football, right? So for
Yeah.
me seeing that, and you know, in our household, like I was the only boy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. Like I didn't know until probably like my 2nd year playing football. So I was probably what 5th grade that the shoulder pads weren't shoulder pads. I thought it was muscle. You know, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta get that big. You know, they just wearing the helmet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I didn't know the shoulder pads and shoulder pads. And even after my first year of playing, I didn't put it together until, you know, I think my mom told me, no, those are shoulder pads. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I mean, I think when I was young, I definitely, everything that I would, you know, okay, like my mom, that stemmed from my mom, my aunts, they would always tell me, do your best, you know, do your best. And then too, like I guess because of how I grew up, like our household, you know, we were poor, you know, we didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
So being the best was like, it was maybe a challenge because, you know, from our family, not everybody had been able to be the best. Like we didn't have the best, you know,
Right.
because of our situation, our uncle, family, all the shit.
Right.
So it's like, well, damn, like, what can get me out of the streets, right? Like, you know, at that time, it was like the gang era, the whole drug era. It was like, well, do I stay here and not do nothing, or can I play and get out? Because that was the way out of the hood type thing, right? That was the way to get out. And again, I mean, that was the only sport that I played. Like, mom never put me in baseball. The only time I played basketball, I was, I think, 7th grade. Made CT. So I wasn't, yeah, I mean, I wasn't good at it. So I didn't commit to learning the knowledge, right? Like, it sucks. You know, I knew I sucked at it. I was 5'7", or I guess then I was shorter.
I was like me in basketball. Like I was athletic enough to do it, but it didn't. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, it wasn't
You know
your
what I mean?
sport, right? Like, it wasn't you. Yeah, like, or you didn't have the interest in it, right? Like, I don't know. And then, so same concept, right? When I was also 7th grade, that's when I got introduced to athletics. Football and weightlifting was like my interest. So like since 7th grade, I had been like learning how to lift. You know, I idolized Arnold a lot growing up. Um, any bodybuilding, all the strongman competition, Ironman, you know, all the just the physically, challenging things. Like I was like, well, shit, you know, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And then after 7th grade, when I got to high school, I think I really got that mentality to learn about it and like really deep dive into it.
Right.
Because high school I had a competition. You know what I mean? High school, we had 4 schools going to Abilene High. You know what I mean? So you got all kids from all the north side schools and a few from the south side schools coming up, all competing for high school spots. You know what I mean? You know, just to make the roster. You know, and possibly make the depth chart. You know.
Right.
And it's like, damn. So I don't know. My freshman year, I didn't mind it. I was on the freshman 18, so whatever. It was cool. I expected it because I was 7th, 8th grade 18. I knew I had to compete for a spot, but I got it. And then sophomore year was really where I started kind of like having to really dig deep because I thought it came naturally, right? Like I just told you, right? Like, 7th, 8th grade, I was this. 9th grade, I expected it. 10th grade, it hit me because that's when guys were going to JVs, right? You either had JV black, or you had JV gold. JV black was the A team, JV gold was the B team. You know what I'm saying? And like, as a sophomore, it was like, what? I made JV gold? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm supposed to be, is it pulling?
No.
Okay. Yeah, like, in my head, I'm like, damn, I'm supposed to be on that squad. Like, I played with them last year. How are they on 18 now? And so You know, I'm on JV Gold as a sophomore playing with juniors that hadn't made varsity yet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm already like, man, hell no. You ain't finna do that to me, man. And so I had to learn. And then I think because like I was always like football was kind of all I had. So at high school level, I was already living. I think sophomore, I was living with Matt by then. You know what I mean? I was kind of already like, man, I gotta hang on to something.
Right.
You know?
And Matt's your best friend, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was like, man, I'm 2 years from now, I'm gonna be graduated. I mean, what am I gonna do with football? What am I gonna do with life? Blah blah blah. But again, football, man, I had to invest because I was on. Once I seen like juniors playing at the sophomore level, I'm like, damn, like. So again, some spots in my young career, the coaches would move me to a JV black game because they needed players. You know what I mean? But I wasn't like on permanent roster, so that hurt my feelings a little bit. And then junior year, like that was my goal. Was like, man, by junior year, I need to be on the squad. Like I should be on varsity by junior year. That's what I wanted for myself. And typically, if you're a senior, you're gonna be varsity, right? Like it's inevitable. But I didn't want that. I didn't want it that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wanted to at least have one. He's a varsity junior. And then, I worked, and I got on varsity going into junior year, like the spring of sophomore year, but I wasn't starting. So when junior year came, like it was just, and then there was a lot of things that was kind of happening to me too, man. I didn't fully invest yet,
right?
Because of my lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Like I was kind of just misled, and I was doing drugs, and I'd go to school high and shit, or I'd skip, go get high and go back to practice, like a dummy, and the coaches knew it,
Yeah.
So I was doing things that, besides my real intention of trying to be a baller, just I did things that set me back. But had I known better, had I been led better, like after a few years of growing up, like I know that to commit to it and give up things that I didn't need,
When would you say you learned that, like that? You learned that lesson. You know what I mean? Like, all right, like now going forward, I need to commit to this, or that. Like,
yeah, I mean, when I enlisted, because I enlisted in the military,
Yeah.
So after
That's
that,
one way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I was living with Matt, so
Yeah.
we were drinking and partying, and it got to the point where I had the realization. Oh, also, senior year, Veronica got pregnant, so I was man, like that's my whole football. But I was committed. I loved it,
Right.
But I think when I made the decision to join, that's when I started like, you know what, I need to really just cut this out because, one, I'm too young to be doing this, and two, it's like, well, shit, let me, kind of get my life straight, and then on top of that, fast forwarding, the military really put it into, like perception, right? Really pushed it.
Yeah.
Like
drove it home.
Yeah, like the whole diving in, right? So, for instance, in the military, another lesson learned was when I got divorced. I was like, well, I'm committed. I'm 2 years into a 4-year enlistment. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get out. Like, divorce just happened like shit. Instead of being depressed or whatever, like, I just, like, full hardcore Marine Corps.
Right.
Like, commit. Invest everything of me into it. And then in turn, my promotions came, and, I mean, I did pretty well in my career, but I had to invest everything first.
Yeah.
Because even then, my young career, Marine Corps days, I still didn't know. You know what I'm saying? I just I was like, okay, I'm a Marine now. I went through basics. Like, what do I do now? And then, you still have your peers. Everybody's drinking and shit. But it took me to realize the kind of like full investment was after 2 years of that. When the divorce happened. But I've kind of always, I guess I've always had the mentality like, well, shit. I mean, you got to do everything with your all because that's the only way you're going to learn it. That's the only way you're really going to learn the ins and outs of things.
Right.
Even if you don't want to, like, while you're doing said subject, you need to know it. Like, and then, again, the military, I think that really made it more serious for me because, they would make us as young NTOs give classes. Right? Hey, give classes there. And I'm kind of like, okay. I'm thinking they're gonna give me a lesson plan. Here you go learn it, come back and teach it. And they're like, no, hey, the topic is anti whatever. And you're like, oh shit, or it's what do they call it? Like where you would pick up in a magazine, uh, and then talk about it.
Yeah.
Or a newspaper, you know what I'm saying?
Like a headline.
Yeah,
Or,
but you get a topic,
yeah,
and then you gotta like talk about it.
like a brief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he would just give me something like, hey, there was whatever's on the news or the war we were
Oh,
going
like
to.
a current event.
Current event.
Yeah. I got
And he was like, hey, you gotta give a class on it. I'm like,
you.
okay.
Yeah.
So what do you do? The only thing I thought to do was at the time, we already had phones and stuff. So I was like, okay, let me look things up.
Right.
Look things up, something that I can wow them with. And then, because you don't want to be an NCO, give a class, and the guys are like, who the fuck this guy?
Yeah.
What's he talking about? You know what I mean? And then obviously your leaders, you don't want to give a half-ass class. So you're like, well, shit, let me give a good class, I guess. And so I guess I had to fake the funk, but I had to learn about it in order for me to fake it. You know what I mean? On a one-day notice, like, hey, you got a class in the morning, and it's got to be 2 hours. So prepare for questions.
Right.
And they do it the whole military way. Does anybody have any questions? No? Well, I have a question for you. Blah, blah, blah. And then you ask her, entertain, right? And then after that, if nobody has any more questions for me, I have nothing else for you. You're dismissed or whatever, right? You had to do the whole, like, that's how they wanted us to do that. Like, kind of be all professional and formal about it. But
Right.
I think on the main topic you had asked, yeah, I mean,
like commitment, like.
Yeah, I mean, why not though? Like, why wouldn't you
Right.
want to learn about anything that you're doing, whatever your interest is, and like fully learn about it, and not necessarily so you can be a master, but just so that you understand the way it works, why it works, how it works. You know what I mean? Like for you in bikes, right? Like you obviously have to learn how to bleed brakes on a mountain bike.
Right.
Who'd have thunk to think that, right? I don't know if that's the right use of that.
It fucking works for this.
Right.
But yeah, and it's so like when did you start cutting hair? Like when did you start making that decision to like was it on deployments? Was it in the barracks? Where was that at?
Okay. So my mom used to cut our hair. My mom was a hairstylist. And about junior year, or no, it's probably like maybe freshman year, because it was right before I moved in with Matt. Right? I moved in with him probably like the end of freshman year. Anyways, I wanted my haircut high school year more. You know what I mean? In high school, I wanted my haircut more. I started playing football Thursdays. I wanted to be ready for game days and stuff. Mom said, no, I'm just not going to do it, because she didn't know how to cut how I wanted it cut. Right? So it got to the point where I started shaving my head, because I eventually needed a haircut. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then that kind of carried on to after the boot camp. They're already shaving our heads. And as a young PFC Lance Corporal, you're making $600 every 2 weeks. Which it sounds good, but shit, 100 of that a month goes to the haircuts. Right. You're like, man, that's $500 plus a $200 phone bill, insurance.
Yeah.
Like, I'm broke now.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like, well, I did 3 months of shaving my head in boot camp. Why don't I just spend $20 one time, go to Walmart, buy me some clippers, and now I can shave my head every week for free, right? And then, so that was that. And then I was doing what we were all not supposed to do by cutting hair in the barracks. You know what I mean? And then, I had roommates. So I always shaved my head every Sunday. Every Monday we had inspections. So I was like, well, it makes sense. And everybody got haircuts on Sundays or the weekends, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I don't have the money to do that, so I'm just going to shave my head. So eventually I would kind of start cutting my barracks, my roommates. And then before you knew it, like Sundays, everybody was lined, like my whole platoon, if anything, would be lined up outside my barracks room. Get haircuts. Dang. Yeah, and it was all high and tights and, bald heads. So I wasn't really like advertising as a barber. But the guy, you know how it is, the guys don't have money, so you're like, well, shit. If you're wrong, I'm gonna get fucked up for it. I might as well help you out, help us out.
Right.
So like I said, and it was cool. So I did that all through, and then every time we deployed, I had clippers. I was always shaving my head because I wasn't gonna spend money over there. What do I need a haircut for over there? You know what I mean? Like, So shaving my head was the easiest option, and even then I was cutting hair, making $5 a head on the deployment money, you know.
Yeah.
And then I guess what really made me do it was when I was getting out. I was kind of stressed and depressed, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was at the bar with one of the homies, one of the Marines, and he was, he was kind of, we were talking about, he's like, so you're getting out, man, you're excited, you got a month left, blah, 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 and, and all the emotions were there,
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm upset, I'm sad, I want to stay in, but it is what it is now. And I guess the thing about it, I just don't know what to do. I never went to college. I didn't even know the first thing about enrolling into college before I joined the Marine Corps, you know what I mean? So I was like, well, I don't even know if I'm going to do that. Like, do I want to go to school? What do I want to go to school for? Like, I had no idea, you know what I mean? And I was kind of talking about that with my homie, and he's like, why don't you cut hair? I kind of looked at him and laughed. I'm like, bro, I just do that. I'm not even a barber, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just cut hair because I had clippers. And he's like, well, because I was also telling him too, like, man, I got debt. I'm getting out with debt. I'm getting out with child support. Like, man, what am I going to do? And obviously, like, I already knew, like, I have a work ethic, so I know I'm going to I'm going to get a job.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, like, as far as, like, life, like, what was my next step? So, again, he was like, why don't you cut hair? You're good at it. And then, when I told him that, I was like, bro, I just kind of say that. Like, I'm not even a barber. Like, I just do it because y'all needed help. I had clippers. And he's like, well, if you think about it, everybody that sits in your chair is money. I was like, now that you say that,
right.
It sounds like a good idea. Right. So after that, it kind of was like, well, shit, he's right, man. And he's like, you're good at it. You've been doing it all these. And he's been one of my Marines since like my beginning. Like, I was shaving his head as a private, and then by the time I got out, I think he was a corporal about to pick up sergeant, you know what I mean? No, matter of fact, he was a sergeant, because I was at the tank school. So, you know what I mean? It was like, man, like, that guy's been with me. So it was kind of like a trusted piece of advice,
Yeah.
And then after that, man, I got out, and, oh, yeah.
When you're talking about, like, your first day walking in there.
Oh, yeah, tank school, man, that shit was crazy. I remember they...
And you're on the Bradley, right? Oh, I guess that's the only tank?
No. I was on the M1A1.
M1A1.
Yeah, M1A1 main battle tank. Bradley's not really a tank. It's like, we don't tell the Army that.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah, I was on M1A1. Tank school, man. My first day showed up, bro. I don't know how Air Force does it, right? But we usually have to check in our alphas. Which is our green dress uniform.
Okay.
Right, it's got all our ribbons and badges. Anyway, so when you check in, obviously you meet the first sergeant, company guns, CO, all that good stuff. And then after you check in, they'll release you, hey, go change in your camis, or for, utilities, whatever everybody else calls them.
Is this like your tech school,
This is when I was a troop. When I was going to tank school.
School.
When I went to tank school.
Okay. Because I know you're also anyway. Sorry.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure I was tracking where.
That's what I was thinking. You were talking
what
about.
time of the?
Yeah. So when I said I was at tank school, I was an instructor.
Okay.
Right, but what I was just saying too is when you first check in. Well, even as an instructor, when you first get there as an instructor, you gotta go check in. You gotta go talk to the first sergeant. You gotta talk to the top, and you're in your alphas. So anyway, my first day as a PFC, right? I just get off the plane in Kentucky. They take us all the way over there to the tank barracks, right? So we're the only tankers on Fort Knox in Kentucky. And it's me and there's like two other Marines that came in the cab, right? We check in, or we get off the cab, and when you go up to the school, there's a big little flight of stairs. Then you have the front door, and you walk in, and then you have like the duty desk, and then it splits up to the different desks. So we get there. We saw a Marine walking in who was already in cami. He's like, man, just stand out here and wait. They'll call you in there. Man, we waited out there for 2 hours, bro. Fucking parade rest. 2 hours, and they're laughing at us. You know what I mean? Literally, all we had to do was walk in. All right? Yeah, we're out there, fucking parade rest. And then more. I think we got up to like 5. More Marines showed up. So we're out there in formation, fucking standing out there. 2 hours, bro. 2 hours, man. They got my ass. Yeah, that was again as a PFC.
They got it by doing nothing.
Yeah, like damn. And then I think one of the staff sergeants, "What are y'all doing, crazies? We're waiting to check in, Staff Sergeant. Get your ass up here." Like, oh, Roger. So we get our sea bags and run up there. And, they get us checked in, and then everybody's like, "Why are y'all standing out there so long?" I'm like, "What do you mean, why?" He's like, "Well, yeah, why'd y'all stand out there?" I thought we had to. He's like, "No, man, you could just walked in." And then I see the Marine who told me to stand out there. I was like, "Bro, what the fuck, man?" He's like, "Oh, I was just bullshitting, man. He was already in class." I'm like, "Oh, you motherfucker."
Damn.
Yeah. Funny thing, man. Funny thing. And then, now that we're on top of tank school, right? So when I first get to tank school, checking in as an instructor, now we're at Fort Benning. So the schoolhouse was comprised of 1st and 2nd Tank Battalions, instructors. So the instructors were, again, from 1st Tanks and 2nd Tanks. So now you got a whole clash. One tank school is better, or one battalion's better than the other battalion. Now we're at the schoolhouse, which instructors are better, you know what I mean? So anyways, my first couple days checking in, I was in my alphas. I was in the instructor's lounge, right? Because I talked to the gunny already. He's like, "All right, go hang out, and then you can change into your cannon after you talk first round." I'm like, "Roger." So I go to the break room, and all the instructors are coming in from class. So I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, you recognize what's going on?" All the 2nd tankers. 1st tank starts coming in. They're like, "What's up, dude? What's up?" I'm like, "Hey, man, what's going on? Nice, Sergeant Martinez. Nice to meet you." Sergeant Medina comes in, right? Big dude, big fucking 6'4", fucking swole dude, right? He's one of the instructors. And he said, "Man, mother, who fucking took my shit?" Oh, he's all juiced up on protein and shit. Yeah, I'm kind of just in the back, like, what happened? Who's this guy, And he's like, "Oh, what's up, dude? I'm Sergeant Medina." I'm like, "Hey, man, what's up, man? Sergeant Martinez." And he's yelling getting on the instructors, "Who fucking took my shit?" Throws a marker, he's just like, "Who took it?" And I'm over here like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like, man, I'm in my alphas. I need to get changed.
Yeah.
And then it's funny. He was like, "Man, all y'all a fucking bunch of pussies. Everybody in here." And I was like, I kind of looked around. All the other instructors, they were like, looking quiet. I was like, "Hey, man, I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? I'm checking in, bro. You see me, I'm in the alphas, but I'm not a pussy, man. I don't know who you're talking to."
Right.
And then he kind of looks at me, and he goes, "Everybody but him's a fucking pussy." And I kind of like just giggled to myself, right? Because at first, I was like, "Hey, bro, like, no disrespect, like, I don't know what's going on, but I ain't no pussy. You just said everybody in here." And he's like, "Well, everybody but him."
Yeah.
So I kind of giggled. It kind of lightened the room up a little bit. And then the funny thing about him was, me and him were like best friends now. You know what I'm saying? So right after that, like after that kind of happened, our books were the same. Me and him, like our books were literally like the same deployments. He was sergeant's course, corporal's course. Everything I did, he did. Just on the first battalion. So,
y'all were on the same deployments?
No. Well, so we did deploy, but we were in 2 different locations.
Oh, okay.
So he was on the Westpac, on a Westpac deployment, but we did like a left seat, right seat with them.
Okay.
So like I pushed one of him out, and then when he came back, he ended up pushing either me or my next company out. Like it was weird. But we were always kind of on the same deployment. Like our books looked the same, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Black belt. We're both sergeant's course, corporal's course, like 3 deployment, everything. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same. And then I don't know. I just thought that was cool. Like we ended up being good friends after it all.
Yeah.
And it still are nowadays. Like he still reaches out to me, talks to me. He's an engineer now. Lives in or close to Houston.
Oh yeah. Remember you telling me about it. You want to go visit him one time?
Yeah, real good buddy of mine, and it all started because he called me a pussy. Like, that was literally my first ever introduction. I never met him before, never even seen him in my life. Like, and he came in, all the instructors were kind of, I don't know what happened. They took something, maybe it's protein or something. Who fucking took it?
It's almost like that scene on Barbershop, the movie. Like, who stole my fucking apple juice?
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like the Marine version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, tank school, man, that was a good era. It was fun. And
it's wild to think of just how you went from going your first day of tank school to learn how to work on tanks and everything about them,
right,
to deploying with tanks, having all those experiences, and then to circle back and instruct
and teach.
and teach.
Yeah.
like all the lessons learned and what not to do and what to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, and like that was crazy too, because like I wanted to, like, you have your roadmap. I don't know if you guys have a roadmap, right? An MLS roadmap. So for every MOS, they'll have a roadmap, and it's like kind of the steps that you would do to have a successful career in that MOS, right? And they always had it posted up at the battalion level, and like, hey, follow your roadmap, and it was to do all the courses. And
I'm pretty sure we didn't have one of those. We had like supervisors that kind of put you on the roadmap. Like if you want to become a staff sergeant or like whatever, like this is the path, like CCAF, college, etc.
Oh yeah.
But we didn't. I don't think we've ever had to like post. That would have been kind of cool to kind of something to look to,
Yeah.
Like that's my goal. That's to get my.
Yeah, I mean it had everything in there. Like even the, like qual, for rifle qual, like you had to have at least sharpshooter or higher, or like expert level. What belt you had to have to move up for certain classes, or like if you wanted to go tank school instructor. Recruiting, drill field, like you had to hit all of those kind of like milestones,
right,
to be a successful, whatever.
Okay, well, we did have something. It just looked different.
Yeah. And and again, it started from the private level, like do your MCIs, do first class PFT, blah 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 blah, all the way up. So originally, I didn't want to go to tank school. I mean, I did because it was in my roadmap. Like, I'll do that when I'm a gunny. I'm kind of already retiring, like settling down. I can give back, like because I wanted to go drill field. I wanted to go be a hat. And I had a seat to go to a school to drill field over in California, but it got canceled because we ended up going on our deployment to Afghanistan. So they pulled the seat and they're like, hey, when we come back, you can go. And I was like, okay. I was mad about it because like I did all the paperwork, everything, you know what I mean, to get the school seat.
Right.
And I was going to take off January, and then like, hey, we're slated for a deployment in February. So they canceled it. I got back, and then when I got back, I was talking to Master Guns, and he's like, we have too many sergeants that are out of the MOS. So you can't go on a B billet. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't go? He's like, you can't go. He's like, I can send you to the schoolhouse. That's about as much. By then I was already a sergeant 5 years old. I think I picked up 09, so 4 years. 3-4 years. You know what I'm saying? Usually 2 years sergeant, you get to staff, and then you move up. Gotcha. In my field, right? I was already going on 4 years. I'm like, Master Guns, like I'm trying to get drill field, like I'm trying to get promoted. And he's like, too many sergeants are out, can't send you. He's like, but I can send you to tank school. You want it or not? He's like, I can get you there, I think next month. I was like, all right, fuck it. So next thing you know, boom, started that whole move, and then I finished there. I finished that schoolhouse. And
what was that like? That because your mission was different from Afghanistan to Iraq, right?
Yes.
Like because the mountain, the terrain.
Way different. Like Iraq was, what do you call it? Like modernized? Like they had paved roads, just like here they have a cloverleaf. Like the 1604, they have cloverleaf bridges, buildings, like everything.
Yeah.
And Afghanistan, the part of Afghanistan I was in, it was like moon dust. Like you step on the sand and it goes with every step. You know what I mean? Like, and we were driving through that, and all you seen was like sand, like desert. Occasionally, when you come to the villages, you'll see like a mud hut village. And that was a big difference too. Like, again, you had houses and mansions in Iraq. You know what I mean? And then over in Afghanistan, there was all mud hut and clay. And then you see like a rare green patch in the desert. And it's the fucking the poppy fields.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa. And it's, a good 12 by 12. It's a big square patch. But that's literally all it would be. Just poppy, and then it'd be nothing but dirt again. Man, huge difference from Afghanistan and Iraq. Or at least in where I was at.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, even my two deployments to Iraq were completely different. Like one was Habbaniyah, one was Fallujah. Man.
What were the differences?
From Habbaniyah. So in Habbaniyah, I was in it was just my platoon. So a platoon of Marine tankers is 16. And then divide that by 4, you have a tank crew. So every tank crew has 4 guys, 4 tanks, right? And then you have a platoon sergeant. Break that down: platoon sergeant, platoon commander, section leader, and then like your sergeant, your blue tank, right? And then everybody underneath, which is all the troops and corporals. Anyways, so it's just my platoon. We lived in a condemned airstrip, like we're airplanes.
Yeah.
And then like we'd put our tanks in a hangar, like for the airplane hangar.
Right.
So we lived in like like a watchtower almost, or not a watchtower, but like when planes are coming in.
Yeah, the com tower, like the ATC tower.
Yeah. That's where we lived.
Gotcha.
Like that was our house. All right, they made rooms. We all had wood beds and shit. It was weird. And then that was Habanilla. We were right across the border from CQ.
What was y'all's mission there? Like for support? Well, obviously you're always supported, but
Yeah,
we
were in support of, I think it's 3-6 Batio. It was an infantry unit in direct support of them. Batio Bastards, it might be 3-2, it could be wrong. But it's one of those guys. So we would only go out for, when they had missions, we had missions. Right? So if they were on foot, we were there, chuckling behind them, you know? So that was pretty much like Overwatch. We did a lot of route clearance for them, mainly Overwatch, and then whatever their missions were. You know, if we had to move stuff with them for like convoys. But we did a lot of Overwatch, Guardian Angels, which was crazy. We'd be sitting on hilltops watching convoys come in and out. Right? We're up there. Can't nobody see us.
Right.
We're using our night visions. Our thermals, we're using our, when the sun goes up, sun goes down, we're sitting watching the road. Wait till convoys come in and out. Cool stuff, man. Got blown up my first time in Iraq. A lot of craziness. This is the haircut, by the way.
Was it like an IED?
Yeah, my first one was an IED. And then that was December 19th, 2006. And then we got grenades. We got small arms fire. Crazy. Small arm fire sounds like a spoon. I'm like metal on metal. But yeah, it's just like inside a tank. You're like, what the fuck? Bigger caliber, you can tell. Yeah. But it just sounded like they were tapping. Ding, ding, ding.
That's crazy.
Ding, ding. And then when we fucking shoot, boom, fucking blow everything out of our, what do you call it? That's the cut. Did you see the cut?
Yeah, I saw it, man.
Yeah. Collateral damage. You know what I mean? We're fucking everything up. Hold on now. You go ahead and clip that there if you need to.
Yeah. So, in Ramadi, how was that different?
I wasn't in Ramadi. I was in Fallujah.
Fallujah. I'm sorry.
Fallujah. Well, we lived on base, Camp Fallujah, and I don't know if you've been there, but we had the cans. We were all in like the big cans. It looks like a quad-con, you know what I'm saying? And they just made beds in there. But it was like tent city, I guess you could say, but they were cans. Right. Lined up rows of cans. Like you had like 3-4 Marines per can.
Yeah. You talking about like the Connexes?
I think so. Yeah. Like they were big metal, like long, skinny ones.
Normally you see them like on cargo ships.
Yeah. And you might be lucky to have an AC in one, AC unit.
Oh, that's what Djibouti was, too.
Yeah. Africa?
Yeah.
Nice. But in Afghanistan, we were living in tents, like big tent city. I'm gonna move this.
Yeah, you can keep talking and sweeping.
Yeah. Afghanistan, we were in tents, man, and we'd be on mission. I mean, Afghanistan, our mission there was, we were route clearance, so I wasn't on tanks. We went as an engineer company, right? So 2nd Tank Battalion merged with 2nd Combat Engineer Battalion. And they needed they had a route clearance mission come down. So we ended up they called us like tankineers, like mix of tankers and engineers. And literally that whole mission, we were route clearance. We had, I think, 8 to 10 Vic convoy. And we went to go clear routes. And for all the units, inbound and outbound, supply chains, log chains, provided route clearance. So literally, for those that don't know, we would go the route that the supply chains were supposed to be taking. We'd clear them first. So we hit them. Or if we were dropping like a unit off or picking a unit up, we were clearing that route in and out. Because they backlayed a lot, and that's, it's kind of how they emerged, right? The Taliban and I guess Al Qaeda, ISIS, they emerged to learning our techniques.
Right.
If that makes sense, right?
Yeah, as any human does.
Right. So they went from laying just regular roadside bombs, just laying it and covering under a newspaper, to burying it and digging it under the road.
Okay.
So in turn, you know, we use special vehicles that, you know, ground penetrating radars. You had the Buffalo, the ones with, you know, that, you know, we had vehicles that could dig and, you know, remove IEDs. So that whole convoy, again, the whole mission in Afghanistan, we were out there going 5 miles an hour on a 12-day mission.
Yeah.
You know, and you're clearing the route. If we found anything, we'd mark it, blow it in place, or, you know, the EOD would come, and if it was significant, they would blow it in place, or they would just remove it and keep it for records, you know. And on that one, man, I have my certificate somewhere. I can't really remember the full number, but I know we were over 100 IEDs found that deployment.
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I got it at the house, man. I'll show you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a sergeant on that deployment. And that was probably my better deployment because I was a sergeant. You know, I was a senior leader and all that fun stuff.
You just want to have a seat right there?
Yeah. But yeah, that was, like I said, for me, that was a better one because I was more in charge. I was a leader. I was able to, you know, make, I guess, bigger decisions. And I was also, for that one, I was the security element. Excuse me, I'm all tired.
Yeah, man.
So
swept the whole thing and you gave me a haircut.
Yeah, I was the head of security. So anytime we had to stop and clear a route, I was one navigating my weapons up top. So I was I was 3, red 3. And anytime we had to stop, you know, I'd call over the net, you know, hey, RC or red, this is 3. Go ahead, orient north, south, and west, or wherever we were. You know, I want the heavy gun this way. You know, Mark 19, head east, this and that. And then dismount 1, go ahead and dismount, you know, make your check, come back, let us know. You know, or they'll radio it. You know, go, hey, we got this and that. And they'll usually do, you know, they'll go a mile out, give report, mile out, give report. So
I think it's funny, you like reached exactly, you put the mic exactly where your radio was.
Oh, yeah.
And you reach exactly where the mic was.
Yeah, because that's where I would have it, like that.
That's what I'm saying, because whenever we do like any type of exercise, like your flag,
your
fucking radio.
Yeah, and if it wasn't there, I had it on my strap here.
Yeah.
Because it was close to the radio, like the intercom. So yeah, it's crazy. Afghanistan was crazy though. It was a trip. We only had, I think, 2 hit us. They found us, and the cool thing about, well, not cool, but the vehicles, again, special vehicles, they were intended to take a blast, like, so they didn't like destroy. You know what I'm saying? They like disassembled. You know what I'm saying? So upon boom from the concussion, the vehicle just kind of like a Lego set. Like,
whoa.
Yeah. So like the GPR was one of those. We could literally like pop it back into place, you know, unless it was completely like, destroyed from the bang.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's interesting. They engineered it so much that they just broke apart and, you know, just.
Yeah, or even like the GPR, the ground penetrating radar, they could lower the PSI on the tires because obviously you're rolling, you know what I'm saying? So his GPR, which I'm pretty sure you could talk about it. But anyway, so it would open up and it had like X-rays.
Yeah.
If you could think about it.
Yeah.
GPR, right? And
we used something similar, but it was for like locating cable, but it wasn't like open up or that size. It was like a little fucking thing.
Yeah,
like a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, and our dismount teams had those. You know, we had the fucking beep, 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 like metal detector almost for our dismount teams. Mm-hmm. But when we were mounted, the GPR was lead Vic, so he would set the pace 5 miles an hour again, and if he got a metallic hit, you know, his alarms would go off. So before his tires hit, the panels go over the thing. So if he got the hit, he'd back up, lower his PSIs, roll over the mark it, and then roll off of it.
How would he lower the PSIs? Like, was it like remotely?
He had it was a one-man vehicle.
Right.
Almost like a tractor trailer.
So you actually sit in it. It's not like I'm thinking like remote.
Like remote. No, he's operating the fucking like he's driving the GPR.
I know I've seen the one with the chains, with just fucking. You seen that one, just whips and looking for it.
Yeah, it's like a mine roller.
Yeah.
Like we would have those on. We had one on a truck, but we had those on tanks too. But that was more for like the older way they would fight.
Got you.
The GPR was more the newer model.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, he could control everything from his little box where he was sitting.
Mm-hmm.
He could lower PSI. He could mark. It was like a spray paint.
Mm-hmm.
It would mark from underneath the vehicle. So he literally had to sit on top of the mark, mark it, and then roll off of it, hoping that he's not on a pressure plate or nothing like that.
Yeah. And you guys would EOD come in and disarm them, or would they just leave them in?
It depends. Like I said, sometimes they always disarmed it, but they would blow it in place or they pull it out.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
And
that was pretty cool because, every time they marked it, and if EOD claimed it or rogered up that it was a hit, we'd go in, we'd dig it out, and then they'd come out in their suits, the big ghillies, the big bomb suit, disable it, and then they'll put a pack of C4 on it, and then we'll clear out, a good 150 meters, depending on the size of the IED, and then we'll clear out, and they'll call over the net, blow in place, what do you say? He wouldn't say execute. Blow in place at my mark, which is a bip, right? And then he'd count down 30 seconds, and then he'll go from 10. He'll count on the radio 10, 9, 8, and we're all like this, like with our cameras, waiting, and then he hits one. Because we would say on the way, what would he say?
Fire in the hole.
No, fire in the hole. Yeah. Fire in the hole. Fire in the hole. Fire in the hole. Boom. And we're all like, oh, and then dirt be falling on the windshields of our vehicles. We're like, oh shit. Or, again, if we had to take it in, which sucked, because it was like, we didn't get to blow it, but finding it was cool. I mean, them motherfuckers would backlay on us, too, man. We'll fucking clear one route, not even an hour on the trip, right, on that side, come back, and then we got hits, multiple hits, picking up on the same route we just cleared an hour ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. And they'll backlay on us. And it ain't much to dig in the dirt. All the routes there. I mean, like, if you're... The area of Afghanistan that we were at, it was moon dust, but you could see the routes, right? I mean, once you got on, you're like, okay, this is compact dirt. This is moon dust.
Right.
So they just dug under it, fucking made it look like compact dirt again, and boom. If you hit it, pressure plate. It was all pressure plate out there mainly. And the big tubs, the big yellow tubs.
Yeah.
They called us jug hunters. It was cool. We never got the shirt made, but there's a lot of politics behind it. But it was like the old school... Like the bomber ladies, you know what I'm talking about? Like they made them look cute and stuff. Very busty. And it said jug hunters, but it had the yellow, she was holding a yellow jug like this.
Yeah.
But she was all like,
Yeah, we had some shirts that wanted to be made too, but we were like, that's probably not the smartest idea. Yeah. But, dang.
Yeah, Afghanistan was crazy too, because that's when I had my only encounter with a grenade. Well, second encounter, if you will. Because first one was Iraq, but they dropped that on the tank. Dropped it on us. Right? We were buttoned up.
From like top of a building?
On a bridge.
On a bridge.
A cloverleaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going under it, going into the city. Right? And, if you look from a cloverleaf, if you look from an aerial view of the highway structure, it looks like a cloverleaf. Right? So anyways, we're going into the city, and the bridge, you had to cross the bridge, right? And they dropped it on us. But we were buttoned up, so it just made a big ruckus. But we felt it, and then my section. So we rode as a section or a platoon on tanks. Section was only 2. So we were lead Vic, and then we got hit first. And then our one, they were under the bridge or behind it. And they're like, hey, 2, they just dropped a fucking IED. They opened up coax. I was loading. That was my first deployment. So I was loading. So I threw a fucking sabo in the round, like, woo, and then the gunner traversed the tank to the top of the bridge, and TC was about to let it go, and then one was like, no, wait, ceasefire, we got him. Because they put coax, just a 7.62 on him. But it was crazy. We were going under, they dropped it, loaded the round, loaded sabo, turned around, we were about to let it go, and then like he was shooting from this way. So, but second grenade, right, Afghanistan, we ended up, so it's GPR 2 and then 3, which was me. I was security, right? 2 was our point man. He got hit. GPR, well, we pulled GPR out. I don't know why. I don't even remember why, but he wasn't leading. Usually he's leading. So 2 was leading. They got hit, right? Blew off their whole left side tire, the fuel jug. Everybody lived. Again, it was one of those trucks that kind of disassembled. They just took the concussion. So we were down trying to fix the truck. And we're kind of like the trail was, it was leading into like some trees because we were kind of in like a rural area, not a rural, but it was starting to get grassy. So it was leading into trees and you couldn't see beyond the trees, right? It's kind of like a tunnel of trees. So, and then where we were, it was a little bit of grassland, swampy. And when he got hit, the fucking fuel tank from the truck, like, bloop, right? So we had to go get the fuel tank because they can use our stuff against us, right? You don't want to leave no gear. Had to go, man, it took 3 of us. So, we took our gear off, we got a gun up, and everybody else is in the truck. We sent a dismount team forward. We're like, hey, dismount 1, go ahead and check the area. Because we were close to the area where there were suspicious guys. And then there was a grunt unit further south, in the direction we were going, but they had to link up. So we're like, hey, link up with these guys, they're head up there. So we're out there again. We're in boots and utes, trying to flip the damn fuel jug to get to the truck so we can just pack up and go. We're probably about 10 feet. Like, we had to move it a good, let's say from here to the front door, right? That's how far the tank blew, right? So we had to roll from the front door to here, right? So we're probably about 10 meters away from the truck. And then you hear small arms fire. We're like, oh, shit. And then my staff sergeant, my platoon sergeant, he's like, hey, they're getting fucking ticked. They're troops in contact, TIC. Mm-hmm. They're getting ticked. So we all fucking run into the truck. And there was probably 5 of us. It was the 2 truck, which was, I think, 4 of them. Me, my gunner was up top. I was on the ground. And then my dismount team was in the truck. I think my platoon commander was on the deck with us. You know what I'm saying? There's about 5 or 6 on the deck. We all get our gear on. Instantly, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't even know if I was thinking, right? So I get my gear, and I got my weapon, throw all my shit on, and I get my dismount team. I'm like, let's go, we're rolling. So they all fucking hop on. They're waiting for action because they're just sitting in the truck. So they got their fucking metal detectors. They got all their weapons up, and we hit the streets. And then, man, we took out. It was crazy, bro. Like, again, I was at this time, I was probably like 225, right? That was my heaviest that I had been. Plus, I was wearing a large flak, large plates, right, with 6 mags. You know what I'm saying? I got a full, like, it's a large sappy. You know what I'm saying? And that's already almost 70 pounds. So almost 300 pounds I'm carrying, right? Moving, we're running. I probably got like a good 1.5 miles, right? All my boys, my dismount team's getting ahead of me now, right? I'm running with the commander. And he's like, let's go, Sergeant Martinez. I'm like, I'm keeping comms and, hey, fucking let me know what you see. I'm running. Bro, I'm fucking tired, bro. We come across this wadi, right? Or it's like a little canal with water. And literally, you could hop it. You know what I'm saying? And all my boys, boing, boing, fucking Super Mario over that shit. Man, I see him. So I'm like, I know, I didn't want to stop my stride. So I was like, okay, pick up my speed, jump, I'll be good. Man, I clear the water, but it's like the water level's like here, right? It's a pretty big wadi. You had to clear. I jump, I get there, and then I fall back. I was like, oh, shit. So now I'm soaked. Fucking all that weight on me. I get up, my lieutenant helps me up and shit. Trying to run. Now I'm weighed down, bro. Crazy, right? And then we end up stopping probably about 100 meters from where our team was, right? Because you can still hear this fucking tick. Because they met up with the grunt unit, right? The grunt unit was the one lighting them up. And our boys, they were waiting on fire commands, but they were still trying to shoot too. Anyways, and my lieutenant, like, when I get up, I'm like, after that, it shocked me. I was wet. I was like, so now my pants, like, everything was bothering me, bro. Like, sand was in my pants. It was rubbing against my skin, everything. So, again, about 100 meters away, and I could see them already. I'm like, sir, I gotta stop, sir. Like, I know it was, all this was happening. I was like, I gotta stop, sir. I'm fucking tired. He's like, no, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. I was like, I'm fucking tired, sir. I can't fucking breathe. Like, literally. So we're running through this field. It was like I guess like irrigation field. We're running through it, and then I found like a tall fucking piece of grass. So I had to fucking take a knee. I'm all like, leaning on my whip, bro. I was fucking tired. And my lieutenant, I was like, go, I got your cover. Go, I got your cover. And this is my first deployment on foot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This was 2011. 6 years before that, I was mechanized. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we were fucking running, and I take a quick fucking breather. Go, I got your bag. You know, I posted up for him. So we start bounding.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of the podcast with Stevie Martinez. Please stay tuned to hear his experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan unfold as a Marine tanker. For those of you that have been following this podcast for a while, I appreciate your patience with it, support of this podcast. My goal for this podcast is to bring people's stories forward, talk about different subjects in conversations, try to activate that critical thinking aspect of our brains, and ask the bigger questions in the conversation, and some of that through stories. And these stories, I feel, will help some of those that are going through it see some of the ways that other people dealt with it and hopefully find themselves out of the darkness. Thank you again. Please share this podcast with a friend or family. Thank you for your support.